Sunnyside Beach is a beautiful place to visit when the beach is actually here. I'm currently standing on the beach that is underwater. Take a look at this lifeguard stand. It's a couple feet underwater. We've got this tree that's underwater. Now, the only ones who appear to be enjoying the beach today are those in the dragon boat way down there that are waving to us, and some swans that were floating by earlier at 5. Now, this is a scene that's reminiscent to what we saw a couple years ago. And this week, Lake Ontario hit another watermark that we haven't seen since 2017.
And as much as they're trying to sandbag and save the heritage of the neighborhood, I think they're going to have to come up with some other ideas.
The International Lake Ontario St. Lawrence River Board tells CityNews that as of today, we're just 8 centimeters shy of the daily highs set back in May 2017.
Levels are still rising too, right? It's been a late spring, so and the water levels kind of reflect that, right? They're still rising, whereas at this time in 2017 we were kind of very close to the absolute peak, whereas recently we've still been seeing levels rise fairly rapidly from day to day.
With the prediction that the worst is yet to come, we checked in on the beach in the east end of the city, where these large white sandbags have replaced smaller orange ones that were put here just 2 weeks ago.
They last summer put in 5 or 6 feet of these stones into the ground, and clearly didn't help.
There's more than 50,000 sandbags over on Toronto Island as of this hour. Back on the mainland, there's concern at condo buildings along Queens Quay where parking garage elevators were flooded out in 2017, and scenes of flooding, erosion, and disappearing shorelines are appearing again this spring.
These are ad hoc tactics to stop damage from proceeding, but it's more than sandbags that we need to invest in.
Constantine Eliadis is the board director of Sustainable Buildings Canada. We met while he was walking his dog along the lake today. He says when it comes to getting Toronto's infrastructure in place to handle future weather models, we're sinking fast.
When we build new buildings, we use energy modeling software to predict performance based on weather. We use historical weather 20 years ago to predict future performance. If you use future weather predictions, it's 2, 3, 4 times the amount of energy that we'll need for these buildings to operate.
Toronto has a $30 million budget allocated to sandbags, building up roads, and laying armor stone. The key to decreasing water levels can be found at the Moses Saunders Dam, where Lake Ontario flows out into the St. Lawrence, which has seen record highs already this year. Every centimeter we pour out of Lake Ontario turns into 10 centimeters for the river and into Montreal.
They've seen severe impacts now for several weeks of high water, and that's continuing, but it is improving, and that's allowing us to release more water into the St. Lawrence and pass through on its way to the Atlantic Ocean.